My rookie year,
Uh-huh.
we were playing the Chicago Bulls. We're playing this exhibition game, and Michael's going through the motion. So at half, I have 10, and he has 4 points, right? I'm doing all this talking. Michael, who do you think you are? The great Michael Jordan? That's right, there's a new kid on town, right? Kind of looks at me and starts shaking his head. He ended up with 44.
This is Reggie Miller, a fearless sharpshooter who transformed basketball with his clutch brilliance and mental mastery. 5-time All-Star, Hall of Famer, and one of the greatest shooters of all time, Miller didn't just play the game. He lived for the moments that brought out intensity and drama. But there were moments, and rivals, that brought out another level of fire in Reggie Miller. So let's dive into Miller's 6 most hated rivals in basketball and unpack the unforgettable moments that defined their animosity. John Starks, the clash of fire. The showdown between these two players was the embodiment of the Knicks-Pacers rivalry in the 90s. A conflict fueled by pride, emotions, and non-stop trash talk. Starks, known for his relentless defense and fiery demeanor, he was the ultimate antagonist for Miller's slick, sharpshooting style. These two didn't just battle physically on the court, they waged mental warfare with every dribble and possession. One unforgettable clash took place during Game 3 of the 1994 Eastern Conference Finals, a game that felt more like a street fight than basketball. From the opening whistle, Starks was jawing at Miller, delivering hard fouls and clinging to him like glue on defense. Miller didn't back down, keeping up his barrage of trash talk through missed shots and tight coverage. Then came the fourth quarter, the moment Miller decided to remind everyone who the villain really was. With the game hanging in the balance, he erupted for back-to-back clutch threes, silencing the crowd and staring down Starks so intensely it felt like flames were igniting between them. Miller's glare seemed to say, "You can't guard me, you'll never shut me up." John, already frustrated, couldn't contain himself any longer. Tempers boiled over, and years later, Miller reflected on their rivalry with a smirk. He was always chirping, always trying to get under my skin. But guess what? I thrived on that. I needed guys like him. It was fuel for me. But Starks wasn't just about his trash talk. He once famously headbutted Miller during another heated exchange, drawing a technical foul that cemented their bad blood. As far as Miller was concerned, this wasn't just basketball. This was war. And he loved wars, fueled by passion, hate, and the desire to win at all costs. Their battles weren't for the faint-hearted, but for the fans. They were nothing short of iconic. Patrick Ewing, the Goliath of New York. When it came to the Knicks-Pacers rivalry, Patrick was much more than a dominant big man. He was New York's heart and soul, the towering force who consistently sent Miller's Pacers home from the playoffs year after year. To Reggie, beating Ewing was about outsmarting and overpowering the symbol of New York basketball, dismantling his presence one game at a time. Patrick's battles with Miller heated up in the 1990s when the Knicks and Pacers were perennial playoff contenders. But their most iconic clash came during Game 5 of the 1994 Eastern Conference Finals, a defining moment that solidified Miller's reputation as one of the greatest clutch performers in NBA history. Facing elimination, Miller put on a show that stunned Madison Square Garden, dropping 39 points, including an unreal 25-point fourth quarter. Every shot he made felt like a dagger to Ewing's Knicks, and Miller didn't just score, he made sure the Knicks felt it. After draining deep threes over double teams, Miller loudly celebrated while glaring directly at Spike Lee, the Knicks' celebrity superfan on the sidelines. But the trash talk didn't stop there. Reggie knew the Garden was Patrick's domain, and every shot he hit chipped away at that dominance. He taunted Ewing with pointed looks and energy that screamed, "Your house, not tonight." Miller later reflected on that game, calling it one of his proudest moments. Ewing didn't say much on the court, but I made sure he heard me. Every time they folded, I was right there to remind them. Ewing, known for his quiet strength, couldn't intimidate Miller. In fact, he embraced that challenge and thrived under the pressure of proving he could take down a giant. And defeating the Knicks meant chipping away at the city's pride, and that started with beating their cornerstone, Patrick Ewing. Charles Oakley, the bodyguard of New York, a physical powerhouse who prided himself on protecting teammates and setting the tone on the court. Whether it was a hard foul to send a message or a stare to shut someone down, Oakley wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty, and Miller knew exactly what kind of opponent he was up against every time the Knicks and Pacers battled. But Miller, well, he wasn't intimidated. To him, Oakley represented a challenge, a defender so tough that it fueled his burning desire to torch the Knicks on the biggest stages. Miller's mentality was clear. The tougher the opponent, the sweeter the victory. And Oakley was the kind of opponent who turned every game into an absolute street fight. One defining moment in their heated rivalry came during Game 1 of the 1995 Eastern Conference semifinals. Late in the game, Miller nailed a game-winning three coming off an elbow screen that barely separated him from Oakley's relentless defense. Oakley didn't enjoy being outdone. He shoved Miller post-game while muttering something about cheap shots and dirty play. Miller, never one to back down, fired back with his trademark snark. "You go ahead and throw your elbows. I'll just keep throwing daggers." Oakley's physical, aggressive playing style added an edge to the Knicks-Pacers rivalry, making every game chaotic and unforgettable. What stood out the most wasn't Oakley's ability to intimidate opponents. It was Miller's refusal to bow to Oakley's tactics. Instead, Miller thrived in the chaos, using moments of conflict to elevate his performance and silence both the crowd and his critics. Their battles were wars of willpower that cemented Miller as a player who thrived under pressure, no matter how rough the fight got. Kobe Bryant, the young gun. Miller was never afraid to go head-to-head with the best, but Kobe brought something different to the table. A fiery mix of swagger, raw talent, and unrivaled competitiveness that Miller couldn't ignore. At just 21, Kobe was already stealing the spotlight. He wasn't just playing to win, he wanted to dominate, and Miller had enough experience and grit to ensure it wouldn't be easy. Their clashes weren't like Miller's long-standing wars with the Knicks players. They were short but explosive. The biggest spark flew during a 2002 regular season showdown. Miller, always ready for the spotlight, drained back-to-back threes right over the young star, adding a smirk that said, "You really thought you could guard me?" Crowd roared, but Kobe wasn't the type to back possession. Kobe stormed past defenders and crushed the rim with a monstrous dunk that sent shockwaves through the arena. He turned and pointed straight at Miller. No words, just a message that everyone in the arena understood. "I'm here for you." Trash talk was inevitable after that. Miller jabbed verbally while Kobe retaliated through sheer intensity and electrifying play. Both players refused to back down. The hostility between them boiled over into a heated scuffle, resulting in technical fouls for both. This was a young phenom, testing the limits against a sharpshooting veteran who still had plenty of fight left in him. Years later, Miller reflected on Kobe's play style with admiration. Kobe was confident and fearless. All the things I respected, even if I hated him for it during the game. Miller knew Kobe was destined for greatness, but in those fiery moments on the hardwood, he made sure the young gun earned every ounce of respect the hard way. Alonzo Mourning, the emotional powerhouse. Known for his relentless defense and physical toughness, Alonzo played each game like it was a personal war. And for Miller, that intensity made him one of the fiercest and most frustrating competitors he ever faced. Every clash with Alonzo was more than basketball. It was a battle of wills. Their rivalry peaked during the Pacers Heat playoff matchups in the late 90s and early 2000s, a chess match of Miller's sharpshooting against Alonzo's shot-blocking brilliance. Alonzo controlled the paint like few others ever could, swatting shots and intimidating opponents who dared to challenge him near the hoop. But Miller? He wasn't afraid to take the fight directly to Miami's emotional anchor. One of their most memorable battles unfolded during Game 3 of the 2000 Eastern Conference semifinals. With the Pacers and Heat trading blows in a tightly contested series, Miller showed why he was one of the league's deadliest shooters. Late in the fourth quarter, with the Pacers clinging to a slim lead, Miller drained a clutch three-pointer over Alonzo, who had closed out hard on the shot. Instead of celebrating quietly, Miller turned and stared down Alonzo, his gaze cold as ice and full of defiance. The two exchanged heated words that escalated quickly, both players standing chest to chest, ready for whatever came next. For Miller, it wasn't just about hitting the shot. It was about proving he could rise above Alonzo's legendary intensity. Miller finished that series, averaging 24 points per game, a testament to his ability to thrive even against Miami's suffocating defense led by Alonzo. Miller reflected years later on those battles with Alonzo, saying, "Zoe was a beast. He made you earn every single basket, but man, I loved showing I could do it." For both players, the rivalry was about respect and refusing to back down. And this wasn't just a battle of skill, it was a battle of heart. Michael Jordan, the ultimate rival. And then there was Michael Jordan, the GOAT, the pinnacle of basketball brilliance, and the one player Miller could never fully dominate. But being Miller, that didn't stop him from trying. In fact, he lived for opportunities to test himself against the man who defined greatness, and no rivalry brought out Miller's competitive spirit quite like his battles with MJ. Their most iconic clash came during Game 4 of the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals. The stakes couldn't have been higher, and everybody expected MJ to close the game with his signature dominance. But Miller fought tooth and nail, fired up by relentless pressure from both the Chicago defense and the deafening crowd at Market Square Arena. In the final moments, with the Pacers down by 1 point, the play itself was a gutsy move that stunned even the toughest critics. Miller shoved MJ to create separation and launched the game-winning shot as time expired, a move Bulls fans still swear was an offensive foul. But Miller didn't care. As the ball swished behind him, he ran across the court in celebration, hands in the air, screaming in triumph like a man possessed. The Pacers had tied the series, shocking Chicago and pouring fuel on one of the NBA's most bitter rivalries. But while Miller snatched these moments, the war belonged to Jordan. The Bulls clinched the series in 7 games, proving yet again why MJ was simply untouchable in pursuit of championships. Still, Miller refused to cower under Jordan's shadow. "You gotta respect greatness," he said of the battles. "But I wasn't there to bow down. I was there to compete." And playing against MJ was not only a challenge, rivalries defined his career, solidifying him as one of the game's most fearless competitors. Whether you were rooting for him or against him, one thing was certain. When Miller stepped on the court, drama always followed. Do you guys think Miller is among the top 5 best sharpshooters of all time? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. All right, that's all for today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.